Well, with Celebrity Big Brother 3, I feel like there's both a lot to talk about over the last 2 days and not a lot to talk about over the last 2 days. Or maybe I just continue to not be invested enough in this season. I think that might be the case. I just feel like it's been. The casting was not good. And while I like some of the cast, it's not even that I dislike some of the cast, it's that I don't understand why they would cast players that aren't going to play. I'm sure they could have found other celebrities who needed some money that would actually be playing more than this. And, first thing to talk about, I guess, is that Chris Kattan left the game yesterday. He had clearly not wanted to be there, and he clearly wasn't paying. And I called this on my cast assessment video. I called the fact that Chris Kattan might quit. I was saying how I heard in the past how he was very political on Saturday Night Live. He had a reputation back then. Some people from some former castmates don't seem to really fuck with him because of that. But then I also talked about how I was reading his, the interviews before he went to the house, and that it was pretty clear that he didn't know what he was getting himself into, and that he wasn't sure if he was going to like it. And I just felt that he didn't maybe want to be there. So, yeah, it's not that I dislike Chris Kattan. He was funny, but I just don't like that they cast him when he clearly wasn't invested in being there. But that is the production on the show constantly. It is they never give you good television. This franchise has not really given good television in a decade or more, probably. So, well, that's not true. I did like Celebrity Big Brother too, so that was good television. But the normal season of Big Brothers haven't had a really entertaining TV season in a decade. There's been a couple of seasons since then where the feeds are good, but they don't know how to give good TV anymore, for sure. So yeah, Chris Kattan quit the game. That's the first big news. Now, Shayna won the veto with Carson and Cynthia on the block. And here is where Shayna's game continues to perplex me and annoy me. I feel like if more of this cast was actually here to play, if Lamar was here to play, if Kattan was here to play, I could pretty much guarantee there's no way Shayna's winning this game because she's not good at it at all. And I don't know if people are still saying that she is, but she's not. And I just really haven't been paying attention to other people in the season because I'm simply not that invested. But Shayna continues to do things in this game that make no sense for her game. And if this was a regular season, she'd be screwed by now. But because there is Lamar who isn't really playing, she has a shot at winning this game still, probably slightly more so than Todrick, who I still think has the hardest way to a victory. Todrick might get to the end, but will he get a winning vote when these celebrities are at home watching and these celebrities are on social media and Todrick's not popular? I doubt it. But Shane has decided that she's going to use the veto on Carson because Carson needs to stay in this game because Carson is a big target that Misha wants out. But in doing this, she has risked her number one, Chris Kirkpatrick's game. And I just don't think if you have a number one in these games, you should have any reason to want them out. Like, if they're truly your number one, you should not want them out before final 3 or 4. Maybe final 4 at the earliest. But if you can get to your final 2, to the top 3, why not? Because that person might take to the end, or they cut you and you're a better jury and you can kind of try to screw them. But yeah, I don't really understand Shayna in this game. So she took down Carson, and Misha and Todrick have been perplexed by Chris Kirkpatrick and what he was up to last week, because like I said in one of my last videos, it had came out that Kirkpatrick was considering putting Todrick on the block. I still contend that it wasn't in Kirkpatrick's best interest to do that move and lose Misha on his side. But where he really screwed up was he told people about this plan, and they still had a shot at doing this plan because Shayna won that veto last week as well, or last round, and they didn't do it. So if you're going to do a big plan like that and go against an ally, you probably shouldn't tell everybody, or you shouldn't give people a reason to tell others that, because then you screw yourself. So Kirkpatrick did screw himself, and Misha has nominated Chris Kirkpatrick next to Cynthia because Shayna pulled Carson down. So it's perplexing for many reasons to me. I'm just trying to analyze this on a game level. I'll get to the drama in a second. But I don't know how this helps Misha either. But I guess Misha has been so, or tried to be so controlling and bossy and really just controlling. She's painted this huge target on herself. So, of course, people both inside and outside of her alliance are okay with taking shots at her allies. So I'm assuming she and Todrick want Kirkpatrick gone because, I mean, he was starting to turn on them anyway last week. And now Shayna's going to have to attach herself to Carson and Cynthia, who I don't even know what to say about them, to be honest. I like them. Carson has a great social game, and they're calling him this big target because of that. But I'm sorry, Carson does not have a strategic bone in his body. I have not once turned on the feeds and heard Carson talking strategy that made any kind of sense. So yes, he's a social threat, but on a strategic level, he's not at all. And Cynthia, she's definitely more strategic than Carson, I think. But I guess she's not as big of a threat socially as Carson. Either way, I guess Shayna's going to have to attach herself to those two, and they're going to have to try and get Lamar on their side. But that brings me to Todd versus Cynthia, which happened earlier today, where Todd was very upset. I don't know why now, but I guess Cynthia, I kind of understand. Cynthia asked Todd for her vote. Well, for his vote to keep her in this game, even though she voted against him when he was on the block next to Teddy. That's because she was in an alliance with Teddy at that point in the game and not with Todd. But Todd really got angry with her way too much about it. On one hand, I understand, on a game level, I understand why Todd is upset with Cynthia for voting against him and then having the audacity to ask him to keep her in the game and not vote against her when she already did that to him. That is some audacity. But he was bringing up outside the game shit, and I hate when that happens. Keep it in the game. You don't need to talk shit about how you're going to beat up her husband outside of the game or how you might make a threat about her outside of the game. That's just stupid, and that was a bad look from Todd. So that was very disrespectful of Todd trying to bring outside things into the game. But I guess overall that's where we stand right now. It's not looking as good for Misha and Todrick anymore, unless Todrick wins the next HOH, and then it's still looking great for them. But if not, I assume almost everybody except maybe Todd would make a move against Todrick and Misha next week. Because at least most of the house that are there to play, even Lamar, who's not playing hard, sees that Misha is the biggest threat in the house. So there is some potential there. I'm glad there's at least some potential because we still have 2 weeks left of this game, and I was getting rather bored over this. I mean, I was also very busy this past week, but also just bored with the game. So, yeah, that is where we stand. It is Kirkpatrick and Cynthia left on the block for tomorrow's vote. Obviously, Carson's going to keep Cynthia. And I think Todrick's obviously going to keep Cynthia because he wants Kirkpatrick out because Kirkpatrick was coming after him and he found out about it. And then you would think Shayna would want to keep Kirkpatrick, but it seems like a lost cause. And Todd and Cynthia did seem to work it out over the past hour before I was recording this. They did seem to work things out and come to a better understanding at least. And it seems like I think Lamar was already on the side of voting out Kirkpatrick, even though there's supposed to be this athletes alliance. But Lamar, I don't know where Lamar's head in the game is, or if his head is even in the game. So I think Cynthia has the votes to stay. Lamar could end up being the swing vote, but I think even Todd is on the side of keeping Cynthia, at least as it stands over the past hour. But that could always change.